What's up, Bills fans? Apologize for that. The chat was not in the room initially, so I had no chat. I could not see what you guys were saying, if anything, and I had a backup going on my phone. So apologies for that. I can't believe that happened. A little technical difficulty there, but on a day like this, that does not bother me. Forgive me for that. But wow, I mean, I anticipated coming on here doing some somber ass shit, talking about the 2019 draft, where the team was going. McDermott was under fire. Was the process fractured? All this kind of stuff. And from the two blowouts to Vontae Davis quitting the team at halftime, the Bills, Nathan Peterman's blow up, you name it. The Bills were just a national laughingstock the last 2 weeks. And for them to come out and put on that kind of performance on the road against what most people believe is a legit prime Super Bowl contending team in the Minnesota Vikings is just unprecedented. And that for me is one of the most frustrating things about this game was watching this game. And once I knew they had it won, and in true, we're all Bills fans here. Don't let us all be honest and say around like 6 minutes, 8 minutes left in the game, the score is still 27-0. We're like, okay, we got this. We got this. We're comfortable now. It was just so frustrating because we know how much better they can play. The team, talent-wise, couldn't have fallen off the rails that bad. It was just so frustrating. And wow, I mean, what a performance by everybody, top to bottom. And there are some complaints here. Obviously, those are the ones that stand out the most as the wide receivers, or let's just say lack thereof of wide receivers. But everybody from the banged up secondary, the linebacking core, the pass rush, the offensive line. I mean, granted, there was some sacks and stuff. Minnesota's a tough defense. The running game was just good enough. And Josh fucking Allen. I mean, wow, holy shit. The plays that this kid made with his legs, with his arm. I mean, some of the deep balls that should have been caught. He should have had 3 touchdown passes, maybe 4, if Robert Foster holds on to that one. It was you're sitting there, we're all sitting there watching the game probably just with our mouths wide open, like, I can't believe what I'm watching. I still can't believe what I'm watching. And that was just so maddening, as it was such a polar opposite of the team that we had seen the last 2 weeks, where they were completely done and dusted at halftime. This team came out on the road and left no doubt at halftime. The game in totality, looking back, was over at halftime. The Bills cleaned their clocks, bent them over, yanked the Pontes down, told them to bite down hard, had their way with them, and sent them up down the road and said, have a nice day. That's what the Bills did to the Vikings today, and what a welcome change. What a welcome change. Oh, trust me, Trace, I'm going to get to him, because he was terrible today. I felt like Clay should have had the touchdown. If Holmes holds on to that one, that's a touchdown, even though they went for it. Big balls call by McDermott. He was showing a lot of emotion today on the sidelines. You could tell he wanted this victory. He felt his team was under fire, under siege. His program was, and the quarterback came out on the road and played big. That kid played big. And I'm sorry, maybe this is a homer call. That's more impressive than what Baker Mayfield did on Thursday night. They had a whole week to prepare for Josh Allen and the Bills, and Allen went out there with his legs, with his arm, didn't make any mistakes. The passes that he was throwing were crisp and decisive. He made a few errors. Those are to be expected, but still, the way this kid is scrutinized by a lot of those, I mean, I'll still hold my hand up and say I was one of them prior to the draft. But the way this guys like John Ledger, who go on WGR and rip this kid saying how god-awful he is, watch this fucking game and come back on the radio station and spew your opinion again, because it's just that. It's an opinion. The proof is in the pudding. And this kid has – I never remember a game like that quarterback by E.J. Manuel, where he was up against such a tough opponent on the road, pulled his jock up, and just went at it. And they set the tone right from the whistle. And maybe this is a bit of a weird thing, but you think not having Shady in there – hey, what's up, Trevor? Not having Shady in there just loosen things up, because they always offensively have to play through Shady. They have to play through Shady. And they just – the reins were off. The reins were off today. They played free and easy. Not to say that having McCoy doesn't help that offense, because he does. He creates a lot of space, and maybe his addition helps them. But this is a new season now. Them going 0-3, staring down the barrel of a Green Bay team who does not look good right now. It's a lot more pleasant than being 0-3 and maybe another blowout, because 16.5-point dogs on the road. Wow, and wow. We're all in shock here. We're all in shock. These last two videos that I've done post game have been terrible, have been hard for all of us to sit here, and they've been great. These were great. And Corey, this is why I told you. This is why you stay the course. This is not why you overreact to things. There's the accountability. There's the structure. There's the culture right there, right for you. Everybody manned up, owned up, and went into a road house and won. For every guy on that 46-man active roster went in and contributed to that victory today. Every one of them. It was just I don't want to talk about trading guys today. I don't want to talk about cutting guys, even though I feel like cutting a couple of wide receivers right now. I'm just so happy with this victory, and them going out and just, on Instagram, I just put out please just make it a game. Let the game not be over at halftime. Let the game not be over. This was how low the bar was. We know they're probably going to lose. Just let the game not be over at halftime, and we'll be happy. Make an account of yourself. And it was over at halftime, but only it was the Bills on the right side of that ledger instead of on the wrong side, which is an absolute shock. Yeah, the negatives, well, let's just get them out of the way right now. Robert Foster, Sands breaking up the interception from Wayans has not been good. He alligator armed a touchdown. He I don't know what kind of impact he makes on the team. Well, that could be Corey, because the Bills made him look like shit. Okay? Minnesota didn't go out there and look like that on their own. Make no mistake about it. The Bills went in there and made them look like shit. Okay? Yeah. We're all ready to suck other opponents' dicks and give them credit. Let's give the Bills credit today. Let's give the Bills credit today. Name other regimes' big road wins like that last year against Atlanta. That's McDermott. Okay? That's a big road win. Super Bowl NFC champion in their house. Win. Minnesota. Win. That's right. That's right, Tanner. Fucking did it. Unbelievable. Because how hard was it for us to watch this team play like that this last 2 weeks? How hard was that? It was disgusting. It made me sick. You couldn't enjoy the week. You couldn't enjoy the games at 4 o'clock. You can't enjoy Sunday night, Monday Night Football. You can't even hold your head up decently with anybody because your team's getting their pants pulled down. And he beat the Super Bowl champs in Foxborough without Tom Brady at halftime. Remember that. They didn't care about that game, dude. all respect to Marone, but they. Why would anybody shocked Ivory got the start? He played well. He held on to the ball. I was a little pissed that I thought it was Murphy who muffed that punt, and they lost like 30 yards of field position, but turned out being Ray McLeod. Outside of that, I mean, the one fumble that Allen had on the sack, the forward lateral, it was not a forward lateral, it was a pass, and then they called it a fumble recovery. McDermott challenged that. It cost them field position. They had to back up and take a field goal. So it was, again, it was a collaborative effort at all fronts here today. But at the end of the day, spearheaded by a young quarterback on the road in that environment, and he played. You could tell what happened in the second half. A lot of fans were frustrated. They wish they just would have went for the jugular a lot sooner in the third quarter. I just think that looking back on it, as it started to play out, it was obvious McDermott was by hook or crook. I want to come out of here with a fucking win. And I'm not going to do anything to sacrifice it. I'm not going to put our young quarterback in a disadvantageous position because he's done that enough. He's been put in those enough. And we're just going to play with the lead, try to keep it comfortable. Our defense is on fire, and we're going to ride them. And we'll pick up we're just going to just try to eat some clock. And that's what they did. They sped the game up. They didn't turn the ball over. And that's the way a team like this has to win on the road in an environment like that. And they did it. They did it. And it's unbelievable. Maybe, is it bigger? Because it just happened. Is it bigger than the win? I think it is. It's more significant. It has a different kind of significance because last year, McDermott's first year, you don't know what you're getting. There's really no body of work there. And you just don't know what you're getting. You know, they get to the playoffs. However else they did it, they did it. They got to the playoffs, so Bills fans stop apologizing for it. We've seen 8-8, 7-9 playoff teams go to the playoffs. So they deserve to go. Losing records, non-winning records, okay. Stop apologizing for it. No win is a fluke, so I'll take wins any way I can get them because there's no asterisk at the end of the left side column after your number goes up. I'll let them take wins however they can get them. And Josh looked in command, in control, and that kid throws the ball down the field. Like when he throws the ball down the field, it's going. There was one he should have just put a little more air under it, but who knows if Foster would have caught it. Yeah, I don't see him back, Tanner. As well as me giving my stupid opinions on here, I love interacting with you guys. It just, yeah, Eric, this was huge. This was the difference between us sitting here talking about how does Nick Bosa recover from his surgery? Would they draft him? And just so many different things we could be talking about right now if they went in there and took an ugly L. Instead, the young quarterback went out there and played well, played great in spots. He had a few bumps in the road and others, but you see where the Bills looked at him and saw a guy who could be different. The size, the mobility, the aggressiveness. He's so calm. He's very calm. It's unbelievable how calm he is. And that's something I noticed right off. At no point does he get that rattled deer in the headlights look. Even after the beating he was taking in the preseason game against Cincinnati, he just didn't. He didn't shudder. Yeah, Trevor, I guess we were. Maybe Cleveland was too. Maybe they're racist too. They wanted to see their young rookie quarterback play. And you know what? In all fairness, Tyrod, it was sad seeing him go out like that. It really was. I felt bad seeing him. Seeing him go out like that. That was because he, irregardless of what we thought of him as a player, his shortcomings, he did play hard. He played tough. He did all the right things, said all the right things. He was the quarterback of the team that did break the drought. And it was just, he went down, and that was the tone. And I'm not trying to be an ass by saying racist and stuff, but I was indirectly called a racist by a so-called friend because I was critical of Tyrod. Because I was critical of him. This guy basically said he detected racial overtones of my criticism. And that always stuck with me. I'm like, are you fucking serious, dude? Like, I'm talking about him as a player, not as a person. What the fuck is wrong with you? I wanted the Bills to draft Cam Newton. I was pissed that they blew it to get him. And I'm fucking racist? I'm just floored. I was just floored. And I live in a really left yuppie environment in North New Jersey where there's a lot of diversity and stuff, and I'm used to it. I'm used to diversity. I'm half Puerto Rican. Not to talk about politics, but still, it was sad to see Tyrod go out like that. And I hope he rebounds and lands on his feet somewhere, because that's Baker's show now, and it's obvious after he won. But for Josh Allen to come out and have the performance that he did on the road, he's going to be the talk of the week. Let's be honest. He's going to be the talk of the week. He's going to be the story of the week in the NFL. Like, Baker was the hot guy, but you know how the world works. People have short-term, they don't remember anything that happened 10 minutes ago, let alone last Thursday. So come tonight, come Monday, Bills led by rookie quarterback Josh Allen go into Minnesota and stun them. And that's great. That's great. And if this guy, hey Lois, how you doing, bro? You having fun over there, man? You must be happy, because I'm happy. It's about time we get to be happy just a little bit. We can chill for the week. They got to go on the road again to Green Bay, who's going to be pissed that they lost the game. I don't want to even think about that right now. 24-hour rule. I get a 48-hour rule when they win. I get to be happy like for 48 hours, then I'll start thinking about thinking about them. So this was good. No doom and gloom today, Corey. We're here to be happy. We're here to enjoy it. We're not here to talk about past Bills coaches and quarterbacks and stuff like that. This is the team that they have now. This is the coach they have now. And there's no rewind buttons. And living in that box is just gonna. There's no point in playing revisionist history every other day. So I don't want to even talk about Greg Williams. Anybody in their right mind would not give Greg Williams a job. Do you know why, Corey? You know why? Because you see what goes on in this league every week. Hits to the head. We saw it today with Trey White. We saw it against Josh Allen. We saw Clay Matthews get sacked again. And you know what they have to do? The team that has to hire him has to stroll him out and still have the soundbite of him saying, "Kill the head. Kill the head. The body will die. Kill the head." The guy's a defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach. He's a defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach. Period. Yeah, that McDermott was emotional as fuck today. Who would have? I mean, McDermott was everything you wanted. He's in love with the past. He's traumatized, dude. This is a young Bills fan. It's all he knows, so he's waiting for something bad to happen now. Because one good thing happens, 10 bad things happen. That's the way Bills history seems to have gone. So that's kind of like you're conditioned to think that way. But I choose not to think that way. Otherwise, I'll go nuts. I want to enjoy the games. I want to enjoy this team now for who it is, not for what they were. And yeah, of course, Corey, I said that early. The whole game, I'm waiting for them to start blowing it. I'm waiting for the big turnover to come. I'm waiting for the Vikings offense to explode. And it never happened. It never happened. And that's Milano played out of his ass today. For people questioning, or maybe it was a little tactic about his starting position, that is no longer a question. Edmonds was a non-story today. Hughes was fucking. I don't recall Jerry Hughes playing a better game. I don't recall Jerry Hughes playing a better game than this. I don't. This was probably the best game I've ever seen Hughes play in a Bills uniform. Umber probably gets rotational snaps. I see Lorenzo Alexander rushing a lot up the middle. He was in the middle. Trent Murphy was on the outside. Kyle. There was some Harrison Smith. It's gonna be interesting to see how it shakes out. But going into this week, this team needs a wide receiver and it needs another defensive back. Or let's talk about the secondary. This beat up secondary held a solid football team, solid offense, and Kirk Cousins didn't have 100 yards passing in the fourth quarter. Everybody came to play. Lafayette Pitts, Teron Johnson, Ryan Lewis, Trey White, who's a stud. Trey White is a fucking stud. Sorry. Anybody who wants to argue, I'll put him up against any quarterback in the league. Trey White is he's a stud. And people who want to bitch about the Bills trading down, they got the quarterback and they got that kid in the twofer. The safeties look great. They look like they returned to form. Nothing got put over the top. So who can complain about this win from every level? It was good. I can only think of a handful of mistakes. And the mistakes, to me, were touchdown mistakes. Clay, I don't know if you all agree, should hold on to that one-handed ball. He should catch that pass. Kelvin Benjamin should catch that pass. And it's either a touchdown or first and goal. Andre Holmes should catch that pass, hold on to it, and it's a touchdown, not a field goal. And we're talking about a 38-point win, 38 points on the board instead of 27, and you're a lot more comfortable in that fourth quarter. You don't have to play as stressed. That's the things that they have to they can't let happen again. I mean, and you're going to start seeing a lot more of Jason Kroom. You're going to start seeing a lot more of those type of guys because Charles Clay's position doesn't look as good on the team right now. Benjamin's probably going to – I mean, how can you give Benjamin less reps? This team has no wide receivers. And it's going to be did it? If it did, Blonzil, I have to look because it was, yeah, Eric, he just looks disinterested. I don't understand what it is with Kelvin Benjamin. He's a guy going to a contract year and he looks disinterested. He looks like, I believe you. I believe Edmonds did it. But again, like last week he seemed victimized, picked on. This week it was like, I didn't notice him. And I guess if I didn't notice him, that's a good thing. I was noticing the pass rush so much. It was just like they seemed like they were just on Kirk Cousins like white on rice. And it got better as the game went on. You could see that defensive line rotation taking shape. And to be honest, like who missed – this is the problem with the Bills is you don't miss your first-round pick from 2 years ago. You don't even miss him, Shaq Lawson. You don't even – you forget that he's on the team. And that's a problem, and that needs to stop happening. Like today, we knew 3 first-round picks were on the field. You guys heads up me about Edmonds forcing an interception. That's a big play. Allen, I mean, come on. And Trey White. Those are 3 first-round picks by this regime that are making an impact and a win. You talk about first-round picks from 16 prior that are nowhere. They do nothing. They're not here, or the guy on the team, he's in when he's there, he makes no plays. We don't even know that he's inactive or he's injured, because when he is playing, he doesn't make an impact on the game, and that needs to change. Like, for instance, Minnesota's a good team, and they're not as bad as they showed today. Let's be real about that. They're not like, that's not the real them. And the Bills, that the past 2 weeks, that wasn't them either. That wasn't them either. That they weren't that bad. That's the most frustrating part about today, is that's not the Bills. That's not them. They're not a dog like that. The team that we saw fight, scratch, and claw is not a dog. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, Tanner. Like, when Lawson's had a lot of chances, and the chances that he does get, I don't see him make any plays. And when he finally gets on the field, he ends up getting hurt. So I don't know. I mean, this is a former first-round pick, and he's just a rotational guy. That doesn't do it for me. Like, that's not impact play. You need to be getting 7.5, 8 to double-digit sacks from this guy. And no need to talk about him right now because it's such a big win, and it's an amazing win. I'm still like, it's almost 6 o'clock, and I can't believe that we watched that we got to witness them play at that level and hold them down for 60 minutes. And from what we watched, from them just getting murdered. I mean, I can honestly say, forget the second quarter. These games were over in the first quarter of the last 2 games. That the Bills, their games were over in the first quarter. And you just couldn't fathom what the hell was going on. I know how sick it makes it, because it pisses me off. I'm not going to lie. Like, I do get mad when I hear national people and these asshole talking heads get on their little platform and use the Bills as a punchline, from Peterman to Vontae Davis to everybody else, like from this guy from the New York Daily News writing an article about the Bills with Tyrod, and he insinuated there was racism there and all this other crap. I see that shit and it just pisses me off. And for them to go out there on the road today and put forth that is just so rewarding, and it takes the pressure off of everybody. It takes the pressure off of McDermott. It takes the pressure off Josh Allen. In the interim, it takes the pressure off the team. It allows them to relax, take a breath, and just focus on. I didn't see what Chris Carter said, but I'm sure it was something stupid, because Chris Carter says a lot of stupid things. I think he did too much coke back in the day, to be honest with you. And it was like Vontae, it was like they were trying to give him a pass, a guy who quits at halftime. If that would have happened and it was the Patriots, it would have been like, oh, this guy, what a loser. He can't handle the pressure. He just can't handle Bill Belichick's the Patriot way. There would have been all this spin. Do you know why, Matthew? It's simple, because all these networks that we watch got an edict from above. Fox was told not to talk about it. It stems from the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. It stems from that, and anybody who was critical of quarterbacks of color were flamed. Period. You couldn't be critical of them. You had to prop them up, and you could win with this guy. I mean, anybody who watched Tyrod Taylor with a clear lens knew he was okay. He's not the worst, but he's definitely not going to win you games. And there's nothing wrong with being critical of the guy. There's a lot of good things he could do, but there's a hell of a lot of things that he can't, that limits you badly. And we've seen it's just unbelievable and then that they have to flip that script. And of course, it's easy to do it to the Bills, because little old Buffalo, their little fan base, their little engine that could fans, they would never do that to Green Bay. They would never do that to Dallas. They would never do that to a big organization. You never get that. It's not that he wouldn't make them, Corey. He would, Trevor. He wouldn't attempt them. The thing that Tyrod wouldn't do is attempt these throws. He's not throwing these passes. He would not. He knows in his head the fastest way for me to lose my job is to turn the ball over. So I'm not going to risk turning the ball over. I'm going to run. I'm going to keep the ball in my pocket and I'm going to run. I'm good at running. But the second he double hitches on most of his drops, I know the play is fucked because he can't come off his first read. He's done. But he's not the Bills quarterback anymore. A kid in his second start, his third game of action, played really, really well. And I'm so, so happy about that. I mean, I couldn't be – that's the thing here is this is why I feel like this game is a bigger win than Atlanta, because you're down badly. You're 0-2, 2 blowouts, 1 on the road, 1 at home. These games are done in the first quarter. They're squashed in the second. And there's all these different answers from how did they decide to play Peterman over Allen? How does a player walk out at halftime? How bad is it? There's always those questions like how could they choose a guy that seems so anti-process? And they just came out. They seem to just put it's good to see a team that can just drown out the noise and ignore it and just put their head on straight and go out and play a game like this where there's really the expectation is for them to get killed. Yeah. I you know what? I think that he really showed up today in a big way, and I think McDermott got back in the good graces of Bills fans today. McDermott really goes you can kind of take that extension from the second half of the Chargers game to now, where he basically came out and said he's calling the defenses. The defense tightened up, only gave up a field goal. Today they gave up a garbage touchdown at the end of a game on the road against a really, really good team. So McDermott today totally turned the temperature around on how Bills fans were starting to feel about him and just the organization. And that's a really, really exciting. It just lets you breathe a sigh of relief. It's not a John Gruden situation going on with Oakland where the team is moving and there's turmoil and there's infighting and bickering and the team is winless. There's none of that. And granted, the Bills weren't in the first 2 games, but they came out and they really put it on today. Yeah, exactly, Trevor. They need to come out with the same energy. They can't come out in any game. I don't care who it's against. I don't care if it's against Carolina. I don't care if it's against Minnesota, the Patriots. I don't care if it's against the JV team from down here that plays at Caven Point. From St. Peter's High School or St. Peter's Prep, I'm sorry. They need to go out there and play with a purpose because this last 2 weeks it was like, do they still think this is preseason? They're in preseason mode right now. They're literally sleepwalking out there. How the fuck? They're not this bad. They have 2 Pro Bowl safeties, a Pro Bowl corner potentially. They have solid, prideful veterans in the front 7. An athletic freak who's young at middle linebacker. What the fuck is going on? How are they not getting stops? Now, the quarterback situation notwithstanding, but that takes a lot of pressure off of that now. But I'm forewarning you guys, get ready for Josh Allen to be the story this week. He's going to be the story. You just got to hope Bodine is healthy. He had a few bad plays in the game, but the guy has 43 straight starts at center, and he did seem to stabilize the line a little bit. There wasn't those glaring things. I can't tell watching the game live if the quarterback's holding onto the ball too long or not because you can't see the routes develop. And until you can see routes develop from the coaches' tape, you can't tell. So you have to wait on that. But they played hard. They were down Shady, who makes a lot of yards with his shiftiness. and makes a lot of guys miss. And they're down in cornerback numbers. They're down. It just seemed like they were just down. They were just down. And they just rose up and won. And it feels so good. I mean, I've been talking for 35 minutes, but it feels like forever because it's just so nice to finally be speaking with you guys about a win. And how, I mean, honestly, guys, can't we just enjoy the rest of our evenings? Can't we just sit around and just smile, and our conversations are better? We'll be more happy tomorrow. Our week is going to start. It starts great. The food tastes better. I don't know about you guys. That's the way I feel. After the Bills win, that's exactly the feeling I get. Yeah, Matthew. Tony. I love the fact that the game was done by Romo, and he was talking. There was a lot of good things he was saying, but there's also some things he was pointing out. He said, Josh, you need to let this ball go, identify that. But again, it's his second start on the road, so I think they're just don't. I don't think he's got the full menu of the playbook on his plate. Yeah, he's awesome. Like it's crazy how critical of everybody was of him as a player. There was a lot of Romo hate, but how he announces makes you appreciate him, and you can understand why players like playing for him. And it's San Diego. Oh, sorry, the Chargers are giving the Rams a good game. It's impressive. I don't know if you guys are watching it, but it's pretty decent so far. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the doom and gloom is out of the room right now. It's so bad when they get their pants pulled down like they have the last 2 weeks, and we have to come in. I have to open this room and have to sit here with I don't know. I'm like, what am I going to say? You guys all saw it. They just got blasted. But this team did the blasting today. They were the hitter, not the hittee. The defense dictated. They brought the lumber today. They were playing downhill when they got to guys. The Sands a few runs in the second half, but when the first guy got to the ball carrier, that guy was going down, and they did not allow. I think that the longest pass play came in the fourth quarter, and the first pass play over 10 yards came. I think it was late in the third. It was that pass to on the right side to Treadwell. Yeah, of course, man. Unfortunately, you're not feeling well, but it makes you feel a little better. It makes you feel a little more relaxed. Oh man, probably a lot of money. And then there was a lot of money won who people just said, "Fuck it, I have $200 to blow. I'll just put it on the Bills. We'll see what happens." And I'll talk about Green Bay in a couple of days, but I have a little 48-hour rule where after they win today, all the way into Tuesday, I just enjoy this win. And the thing you guys can go around and say all week, guys, to people who told you the Bills were going to get spanked, to the national people, to everybody on Twitter, all the know-it-alls, all the people that wanted to just try to rub our noses in it, you know what you can say? You know what you can say? Any given Sunday. That's what you can say. Any given Sunday. Like, I know a Vikings fan at my gym, and he's a nice guy, but he's very much a true believer. Like, he's say a homer, but he's how we feel about the Bills, he feels about the Vikings. Everything they do is the gospel. He's a homer. He's a homer. And he talks about the players, like he talks about, Zim will have the guys ready and this and that. Like, I didn't get to see him this week. And what could I have said to him this week, having the Bills been so bad? But I remember when the schedule came out was it March? I told him, I was like, anything could happen, dude. We'll see. We'll see when the game's played. We'll see. And he was like, oh, bro, they had just signed Cousins, Captain Kirk and the Fleet, he would say, and the House of Horrors, the Terror Dome, all this stuff. So when I see Ronnie, I'm gonna I'm gonna have a big fucking smile on my face because I know in this guy like I do, he's gonna be pissed. He had his sights going. Him in his mind, the team is 4-0. Like in his mind, the team would be 4-0 going to play the Eagles for revenge. That's his mind. That's what he would be doing in his mind. Like, we're 4-0, we're going to play the Eagles and get revenge for that NFC Championship game. That's where his head was at. And I'm like, you play the teams on your schedule and you try to play the best of your ability, and you try to you're all paid professionals. The Bills are a paid professional team, and they went out and had a very, very good performance, and it was very, very exciting. And I appreciate you guys so much for filling up the room, for interacting with me. And yeah, I mean, shit. Corey brings up accountability and stuff last week. Rex wouldn't even admit to who calls the plays. Rex would never tell you who's calling the defenses. The second year, it was his brother. The first year, it was him. So, and he wouldn't even go out and tell you who really it was, because he wanted to cover for either himself or his brother, while Dennis Thurman bantied around with the title and barely said anything in a press conference. You don't even have the gall to come out and say, well, McDermott came out last week, I took over the play calling, I did it. And I knew he was going to be very diplomatic about the way he spoke about Frazier. Has got a lot of respect. They go way back in Philly, and he was not going to throw that man under the bus. I give Frazier a lot of credit in his press conference this week. He's a true pro, and he's been around the league, and he didn't look. He just said, we're gonna do what's best for the team, and that was the message came down from the coach's chair, and I've got to respect that. And I don't think McDermott gets enough credit for how fiery he truly is. I think he's a hell of a lot more emotional than he lets on, because the only time we really see a long period of him are in press conferences. The only time he's very tempered because he's stepping in front of the media. But when, the little bits we saw of him and embedded and on the sideline today, he was losing his mind. Like, he was ready to roll. I mean, how many of us didn't? Oh my God, the quarterback sneak, 6'5", 240-pound quarterback, short yardage. Thank you. How many times have the Bills, let alone the league, been victimized by Tom Brady just lining up and boom, gone, quick first down? And today, finally, the Bills, big, athletic, young stud quarterback, boom, in, first down, fucking boom, 4th and goal, fucking, we're going to score a touchdown here, touchdown. But it's the physicality, the fact that him jumping over Anthony Barr. I mean, I was scared. I'm like, holy shit, Josh, don't go doing that all the time. I don't want you to get hurt and shit. But my God, like, just him jumping over the line and seeing him make these plays. And these aren't plays that Baker Mayfield's going to make. These aren't plays that Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold are going to make. And granted, they have their own attributes and they're good at other things. That's what got them drafted so high. And being able to have the physicality to not get sacked so quick. But, those are the attributes he brings. And I think we were so in love and talking about what he didn't do it so well, we forgot or just lost sight of what he did really well. And I texted a friend of mine that's really, really good to me. I'm not going to say his name, but he's on Twitter. He was involved with it. And I asked him, I'm like, thoughts on Allen? Looked really good, poised for the most part, encouraging. That's what he said to me. And to hear him say that about Allen is crazy, because he was very, very critical of Allen. And I respect his opinion. Most everything I know about football and how to watch football and how to see things like a little bit different perspective is from him. So when he tells me something, I take it really, really high praise. And I don't see him. I see him. I think Cam is a better athlete. The size is the same, but I want to see the passing. I want to see the arm. The arm is possibly better than Newton's, but the touch passes were there. How inaccurate we were led to believe. Wouldn't Robert Woods look good on the Bills right now? Just scored a touchdown. Wouldn't I mean, seriously, we all thought Robert Woods was but my God, would he look good on the Bills right now? He really fucking would. I mean, never like always appreciate what you have. And I swear, Robert Woods right now would look like a gem on the Bills. But yeah, like the inaccuracies that the stuff that we were purported to believe. I mean, they were so bad and stuff we watched. It was like, my God, this kid he can't hit the ass end of a barn. But I'm not seeing in these games these horrible inaccuracies. When he's throwing the ball, I'm not seeing EJ Manuel scatter shot. I mean, I'm throwing it and I don't know where it's going type stuff. I see the ball is on the guy. The ball is there. It's up to the receivers to catch these passes. I mean, I didn't see. Did you guys see many inaccurate passes today? Did you see guys? I didn't. I didn't see many. I mean, I'm not trying to, again, I didn't see many inaccurate passes today. Today was a shocking result on every level, from the quarterback play, the head coach. I think this team was galvanized by the way they've been talked about the last 2 weeks. Vontae Davis quitting at halftime, being such a big underdog, albeit on the road, albeit an 0-2 team, having lost the way they did. They felt very, very disrespected, and they went out and they played like a team that was pissed. And that, all we want them to do is show emotion. In victory and defeat, however it goes, play with some pride, play like you give a fuck, play like, this means something to you, because it definitely means something to us. We put a lot of our emotions and our lives into this shit, and we're here for the long haul. A lot of these players, will be honest, are only here for a cup of coffee. But today, on that field, they went out and they left it all out there and put on a great showing. And any of you guys who come in here and are critical of those wide receivers today, you have full fucking rights to, and you should be. Whether it was Foster, who, oh my God, I don't know why he's on the roster. Scary part is I'm starting to question why Benjamin's on the roster. That's scary. I'm starting to question why he's here. I mean, I want to see some wide receivers brought in. I want to hear about some wide receivers being brought in this week to work out, because this is not cutting it. This is not cutting it. And something needs to give from that regard. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a DB signed, because they need some depth there. They can't go into these games with such little depth at corner. And here's an underscored guy nobody talked about. Played excellent on defense. I was horrified that he was out on the field so much today. Raphael Bush. Raphael Bush played great. He played great today, and he was put out. He was the big nickel. He was playing down in the box. He was playing in the slot. He played all on special teams. He was phenomenal today, and I want to give him a lot of credit. Nate Orchard played well. He took that bad penalty, and it's hard for these guys the way they play. It's really, really hard. You don't know what's a penalty, what's not. He was late going in on Cousins, and you know how they're going to do the fucking, here comes the fucking flag, and that really, really hurt. I think they scored. Yeah, that's where they scored the touchdown on that drive. The drive, they just kind of threw their hands up, really didn't care. They cared. I think they wanted to preserve the shutouts, but it was just shit. And hopefully this upward trajectory of Allen, hopefully just continues, and he continues to get better. Granted, there's still going to be bumps in the road. There's still going to be ebbs and flows, but hopefully the trajectory for Allen continues to go up. The team continues to play well and compete and show that they're about it, and show that they're about McDermott, and we know he's about them. And we just see growth and progression like he talks about. And then we can go into the offseason as a fan base, and they can go into the offseason as a team and as an organization and say, we know we need these things. We know we need these things to make this team better. And we cannot deny the fact that when they go out to do something, they do it. Like if they wanted to go get a quarterback. They found a middle linebacker that they're big on. They did it. They wanted certain things done, trades, etc., etc. They did them. They executed them. So, I mean, the idea of trading for guys right now is crazy. Maybe Brashard Perryman is a deep threat. He just got released by the Redskins because they had to make room for their running back position. So they kind of did that, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you're not really improving your roster by a lot on September 23rd, 24th. But, I mean, Deontay Thompson was picked up mid-last season, and he was the Bills' best wide receiver the second half, so it can be done. That's not saying much, but it can be done. Yeah, they took advantage of turnovers. They created turnovers. They were just all over the place. They were flying to the ball. They were aggressive, and they didn't make many stupid mistakes. They didn't beat themselves. The game never got close, so we never saw. They never allowed it to get close. They never allowed it to get close. They kept the pedal to the metal the whole time, and even in the second half, where the offense kind of just chilled, took a step back and tried to speed the game up and run the ball and be more conservative and not, put the game in peril. The defense still held it down, created some turnovers, and fucking just played lights out. They gave up I mean, listening to the John Murphy show tomorrow will be nice. Listening to the morning guys on WGR will be nice because the tenor of the conversation is going to be so different. And, yeah, it was terrible. It was a terrible penalty on White because I feel like it was incidental contact, and they're just calling contact to call contact. White didn't lead with his helmet. He led with his shoulder, and his helmet happened to collide. If you're just calling incidental contact, then what are you doing? They talk about fair and balanced penalties between the offense and the defense. That's not true. That's not true. It wasn't like Louvel Joseph who lowered his head to hit Josh Allen in the head. Like he lined him up and hit him. While I believe it was, I don't know if it was Barr who had a hold of him, but he had a hold of Josh Allen in the back. He was going to get sacked. There was no escaping for Allen, and Louvel bent his head over and just lined him up. That's a different type. The horse collar, those are clear penalties. The one against White was bullshit. That's a ticky-tack call in my opinion. And you know what I think a lot of times they do also? They respond to the sound of the hit rather than just the hit. If the hit sounds a certain way, they're throwing the laundry because they hear the collision. And they automatically assume it was helmet-induced. There was a little bit of helmet, but that's going to happen. The way these guys move, was a defenseless. Did they actually say that, Bills Mafia? He was a defenseless receiver. When is a receiver not defenseless? When he's running at you with his shoulders? Like you're supposed to let him turn and run upfield and not try to make a play? It's just crazy the way this league has turned. I mean, the Clay Matthews got another egregious penalty today. An egregious penalty. Yeah, he's another one. See, Ed Hochuli's son, his son. That's the problem with this league. It's the problem with every business in life, but in this league, it's a big problem. It's called nepotism. Sean McVay's a good young coach, but his grandfather was a head coach too, here in New York for the New York Giants. There's a lot of good old boys club in the NFL. John Gruden, his son, is a strength and conditioning assistant on the Raiders. Why? Because he's John Gruden's son. I can guarantee the motherfucker doesn't know more about working out and nutrition than I do. And I'm 40. But you know what? That's what it is. That's the league. Oh, you're my boys. You're my this, you're my that. Come on in, have a seat. Look at Norv Turner. He's got two of his sons on the offensive staff. It sucks, but that's the reality. That's the reality of the league. I could go down, and I mean, Fritz Shurmur was a defensive coordinator with the Green Bay Packers when they went to a couple of Super Bowls and won one, and then Pat Shurmur is his nephew. Mike Holmgren gave him his first head coaching job in Cleveland. There's tons of it. Yeah, their father, Brian, bro. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. Where you rarely see an outsider get in there. That's where like McDermott didn't have that. Brandon Beane didn't have that. That's kind of cool. I think that's a cool story in and of itself. We're almost at an hour. I don't know if you guys want me to keep going or you guys can get back to the games and watch the games and enjoy the games and go to the Joy the rest of your Sundays, because I'm sure all of you have to work tomorrow and stuff, and we can enjoy the, just enjoy the win. How bad? We're going to find out how bad he is, because generally former Pats assistants aren't doing too good. Bill O'Brien doesn't look like he's doing too good in Houston. He looks like he might be fired sooner rather than later. They're 0-3. They're in the fourth year of his deal, and they have a young quarterback. He played okay today, but the team as a whole just does not win. They just do not win enough under him. Matt Patricia, I think a lot of times with these young Pats assistants, they try to be Bill, and they're not Bill. You don't have Bill's clout. You don't have Bill's success. You're not him. You have to be yourself. Yeah, McDaniels, they all try to be a bunch of something they're not. I mean, Scott Pioli was a front office executive that was under Belichick there, and it was a mess. Why do you think teams like Tennessee, Tampa Bay always trades with the Pats? Why? Schiano, Belichick connection. Jason Light, Belichick connection, was in that front office. Scott Pioli and Atlanta. Remember? Tony Gonzalez trade. Thomas Dimitroff, Scott Pioli. Those Cleveland Browns, Belichick ties, they get together and create that trade. That's the way these things happen. Today, the news breaking about the Lions potentially trading for Gronk. Hugh Jackson's a horrible head coach, Trevor. He's horrible. He's downright fucking horrible. He's terrible. He's terrible. But they almost make the Gronkowski trade according to Schefter. How does that happen? Bob Quinn, the former Patriots scout, Matt Patricia. That's the way they do it. They use these teams. When the Patriots want to do something that works for them, they use their former assistants spattered around the league, their former personnel people in front offices to make these trades. That's what they do. Bell. I mean, you're gonna have to give up a lot for Le'Veon Bell. I don't know. I don't see. I mean, it's tough because he's a guy who wants to get paid. He's been injured. He's at the age. He's very, very productive. He's a great back. It's hard for me to say that a guy shouldn't get his money when he could be injured, and us as a fan base is always going to side with the team. And if he gets hurt and he can never play again, it's just like, he's got no career, So it's just like, I'm always kind of 50-50 when it comes to that. Because at the end of the day, these guys, we've seen Kevin Everett. I remember Reggie Brown with the Lions. I saw Dennis Byrd get injured for the Jets. I remember that injury. Mike Utley for the Lions, not be able to walk off the field. No, they don't get paid, but he's a really good back. And you see a guy like, Todd Gurley just got paid well. Todd Gurley got paid very well. I think another back got a pretty decent contract also. So, I mean, I can't fault him for wanting his money. That's a scary thing. Did it look like a big hit, Matthew? Did it look like it was like this egregious hit? Shit. I remember the game when Lynn Bias got carried off the court. I was 9 years old. The kid had a heart attack and died. And your whole time you're watching the game and you don't realize the severity or the seriousness of the situation, but then you just hear on the news, oh, he died. It's tough. I mean, if they need to trade him, they can trade him. But yeah, OG Nasty is a great win. A great win. That's a good situation to have that they have. They can trade him, get a lot of assets back, and they still have a pretty stacked offense. I want the Bills to be like that one day. I really do. Hell, we can trade away this guy and not hurt, not suffer, not hemorrhage. I'm tired of this team. Today was encouraging for me. You know why? And this is not a slight against LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy makes the Bills a better football team right now. But I do not want the Bills to be what they have been on offense, which is a team that has to rely and play through its running back. I want the Bills to do what it did today in the first half after it got a big lead and had to scale it back and was hell-bent on getting out of there with a win, no matter how it looked. I want them to be a team that plays offense through its quarterback. And today, for the first time in a long time, they were a team that played offense when it mattered through its quarterback, and they won. And that's why this win is bigger than the Falcons win, is the significance. You did it with the anointed one, the guy that's supposed to be the guy, the quarterback, the handpicked guy by the GM and the head coach, because make no doubt about it, they both picked Allen. Allen's not a Bill unless McDermott signs off on it. Yeah, it's just those hits aren't hard. Those hits, they seem so insignificant. We've seen way worse hits. Chris, I think I don't know what Benjamin's deal is, dude. Everybody's in the room beside himself about the guy. If you would have told us a year and a half ago he'd be on the Bills, you'd all be excited. But knowing what we know about the guy now, he just seems like he's just disinterested. He just seems like I'm just out here in a uniform, just playing a game. Oh well, no big deal. It's horrible to watch. And he just puts out very, very little effort. Even on the pass that wasn't challenged by Zimmer on the sideline, it looked like he wasn't concentrating the whole way through. It might have dropped it. And that could have been a risk, and the Bills ran up to the line and ran a play real fast. But still, dude, get your fucking head on straight, man. I need one of these receivers to just pop off and be a guy. Zay Jones needs to be that guy. Zay Jones needs to be the guy the Bills need. They need him to step up. They need him to be good. I think he had a catch or two today, but this year he's got 6 catches for 106 yards, and they've been getting blown out at halftime, and they haven't. That's when you can get garbage yards or you can pad stats and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, anytime, let's be honest, everybody, anytime you hear good things said about the Bills, and especially a rookie quarterback, it makes us feel warm and fuzzy. We want to hear good things about the Bills. We want to hear people give them platitudes and, talk well of them and not have what we've had the last whatever, especially these last 2 weeks where it's been a fucking nightmare. These last 2 weeks have been a nightmare. I couldn't believe the season got started off like that, and that's what we were watching. It was so bad. When's the last time somebody talked about a Bills quarterback? There was a little bit of talk about Tyrod, just little blurbs. Fitzpatrick in 11 when he had his little Fitzmagic run that we all know just goes away. Then Trent Edwards in 08. There was a lot of talk about him after starting off 5-1, and that was it. Before that, Drew Bledsoe's first stretch of games in 02, where he was off to a really, really hot start. That fizzled out quick. Not in 03, definitely 02, Corey. 03, not so much. 02, definitely. And probably the whole Flutie magic. Yeah, I can just go back in my head. And then obviously the controversy between him and Rob Johnson. That's the last times. But I mean, with a young guy like this, I'd probably have to say Edwards 5-1, 08. It seemed like they had found a guy, and I bought into it. I mean, I really did. And oof. And they were playing a bunch of bad teams. That was 04. Played a bunch of bad teams that didn't have a lot Why did they not start Flutie in the playoff game? Because Ralph Wilson came to Wade Phillips and told him not to. That's why. They'll deny it, but that's what happened. Rob Johnson had a night. Go look at Rob Johnson's game log. End of the 99 season against the Colts. Played well, looks the part. Rob Johnson looked the part. He looked the part. They traded a first-round pick for him in 08. Got hurt. First game. Flutie came in, almost brought him back against the Chargers. Next week, they lost the game. Following week, they were up big against the Rams, ended up losing a big lead, lost the game. Next start, Rob Johnson gets hurt. Flutie comes in. They go off on their little magic run. 10-6, they go to the wild card game. Next year, Flutie starts, plays. It doesn't have that great of a season. Plays okay. End of the game, give up game. At the end of the year, give up game. Rob Johnson starts, plays really, really well. Really efficient, 270-plus yards, 2 touchdowns. They blow the Colts out. Peyton Manning was the quarterback. That week, going into Tennessee, it was like, Rob Johnson might start this game. Rob Johnson might start this game. And meanwhile, the quarterback that got you this far, that started it, and they had to coexist for another year. The last game, Flutie quarterback with the Bills was the only perfect quarterback game in Bills history. It was against the Seahawks. I'm doing this all by memory now. Against the Seahawks in Seattle, 158.3 quarterback rating, 366 yards, 3 touchdowns. Amazing fucking game. And that was the last game that he quarterbacked. It was always like the curse of Flutie. His last fucking game quarterback, he just lit it the fuck up. Was it revenge for Polian? Polian left in 02, so I really can't say anything. Polian had been gone for almost 8 years. He was gone. Marv retired after 97. Butler took over after Polian left. A lot of the decent scouts were still there. So it's really hard to say. They were at each other's throats. Polian and Ralph were always at each other's throats over players. Ralph liked to think he could pick players. He had a running back fetish. If you notice, the Bills, he had a big running back fetish. He loved running backs. He didn't think quarterbacks were that big of a deal. Ralph liked running backs. He loved Thurman. Listen to Thurman talk on the John Murphy show. He treated Thurman like a son. He felt like Thurman was a son he never had, legitimately. There was a few other guys, but there was a lot of animosity. When a lot of those guys left Buffalo, I remember I read an article in the Sports Illustrated when John Butler left. He took a lot of the Bill scouts with him. The entire front office went to San Diego with him. He took Marcellus Wiley too. I remember he took him to San Diego. Flutie went to San Diego, and they asked him about Buffalo, this winning. All the winning you guys done. You've been to 4 Super Bowls. What happened? What's going on there? And all he said was, all I'll say is it was a hard place to work. It's a hard place to work, and that stuck with me for so long. Right up until last year when McDermott came in and started firing everybody, having everybody get gone. I was just like, oh my God, because you have no idea how long Scott Birchtold was there. Russ Brandon had been there since 97. 98 after his little stay with the Florida Marlins. He got into Ralph's good graces. All the scouts that had left, Ralph didn't trust anybody after Donahoe. He had 2 coaches that whole time quit. Marone quit. Malarkey quit. Couldn't give the job away. Had to hire guys like Chan Gailey and Dick Duran, who nobody would have given head coaching jobs to. Nobody. So it was a big yeah, right. Get off my ass and jam. Dude, I was yelling like a fucking maniac before I did the on Instagram. I got up and I did the McDermott fast clap. I grabbed my junk and said, fuck you and your fucking 17-point underdog spread. I don't normally act that vulgar, but I had to, man. I was so fucking happy. Do I ever have I ever seen the Fred? I never saw it. I didn't know you could see it. Never saw. I never knew you could see. Take care, Trevor. Go Bills, dude. Good talking to you. I'll see you. You know where I'm at. You see me. I didn't know. I wasn't aware you could see those roasts. But such a great day, guys. I've been on an hour and 10 minutes. I'm gonna jump off of here. It's been great talking to you guys. Dude, can you link me or send me a message and I'll click on it. Just send me a message on here. But I'm gonna let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Definitely have a great week. Start to the week. Hopefully this can carry over. Go Bills. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate all of you who come in here and chat with me. Corey, Trevor, Eric, Damage, Chris. I can go on and on and on. Tanner. Shit, I can just keep going. I can keep going. Matthew, Los, all you guys are great. Thank you, so Matthew. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one. Take care. We can sit back and enjoy these games for the rest of the night now with a big smile on our face. Any given Sunday, go Bills.